So a bunch of clowns on Fox News decided to debate the issue of North Korea, and I want you to take note of the absolute disdain that most of the panel has here for talking, for diplomacy, for trying to actually solve problems. Let's watch.
Never forget the power that liberty has, and the power and the hunger of ordinary people who want to better their lives, right? So at some point in time, maybe, just maybe, sitting down with this guy and saying, what can we do? Like sitting across the table with them and looking him in the eye.
So you're okay with the one-on-one with North Korea?
And say, what can we do to what can we do to normalize relations?
You're assuming he's a rational player. Yeah. That's what you're assuming. This is a political theory of realism. When, okay, as long as he's armed and we're armed, we can sit down like rational people at the table. However, Richard, he has proven over and over again he can't be rational. So how are you going to sit down with a guy as crazy as him?
Daring the United States to invade. I mean, but that's made them. They've been like this propaganda machine has been convincing all the people in North Korea that the United States is going to invade and then will try and destroy the regime.
I get that, right? But think about the Cold War. At some point in time, it took an American president saying, maybe the Soviets are rational actors and we have to sit down and talk to them. And that's what ended the Cold War.
Détente worked with the Soviets. So détente does not work with North Korea. It doesn't work.
Richard, it sounds nice in theory, but are you going to take this man at his word if an agreement is made?
Listen, for 4 presidents have tried different strategies and none of them have worked.
So now you think that sitting down with the lunatics
I'm not saying to roll.
I'm just asking a question.
I'm not saying to roll back sanctions. I'm saying let's keep the sanctions. Let's keep all of our ships in place.
But have a chat.
Clear, Richard. President Clinton was instrumental
in the Sunshine Policy in 93
in thinking that somehow you could be rational with this guy, that he wouldn't build up his nuclear program. All right? And now we're in a situation where they are most definitely a threat. For us to be playing ball with them, no, it's not. It's gotten too far. We've tried that
right, but here's the thing. But the next step we're going to is some form of nuclear war, right? Like that's where we're headed.
There's a step along the way.
That's why we've got to have a conversation.
Riding unicorns into North Korea to give them hugs isn't going to work either.
Okay, nobody can hear you guys.
Anytime.
Did you hear what Kennedy said at the end? Is that you're riding unicorns into North Korea to give them hugs? Oh, that'll work? You do know she's supposed to be a libertarian, right? A libertarian. And she's arguing for more escalation. Wow. Somebody's going to have to revoke your libertarian card because they are pretty consistent in their non-interventionist position, whereas you, on the other hand, clearly do not agree with that. Okay, so, I mean, look, that's like watching something from the Twilight Zone, man, with how out of touch they are. You would think that Richard Fowler, the guy there on the panel, proposed child molesting with how, like, shocked and, whoa! How dare you, Richard! Did you really just say that we should maybe talk with people and try to not escalate to war? Unbelievable, unreal this guy is. Okay, look, you jackasses. North Korea, yes, horrific regime, brutal regime. The country is a hostage crisis. You have an authoritarian leader who is off his rocker, and their propaganda is absolutely comical. Having said all that, they are not going to attack the U.S. if we don't attack them first. Do you understand? They are not. They, even with all their bluster and all their, oh yeah, we'll show you, we mean business, we're serious, yeah, we'll attack you. They say our defensive nuclear program. And you say, come on, Kyle, defensive? So let me ask you, you think if they develop nukes with a long-range, missile tomorrow, are they going to attack Toledo? Are they going to go after anywhere in the U.S.? Probably be California if they could reach anywhere, or Alaska. Are they just going to attack out of nowhere? No, the answer is no, right? So why are they building it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the fact that there was a time where the U.S. did obliterate their fucking country. Maybe when the U.S. says, all we want you to do is give up your nukes and then everything will be cool, bro. Don't worry about it. Well, no, maybe. What incentives does this guy have to give away any weapons he has? What were you going to take the U.S.'s word at it? Oh, no, don't worry, bro. We're just going to disarm you and then we're just going to let you be and everything will be totally cool. No, he thinks if I give up any leverage I have, any weapons I have, they're going to topple me. Because that's what we did with Gaddafi. He thinks, shit, if they think I have the nukes and if they think I have the long-range weapons, then they won't fuck with me. That's what he's thinking. He's not thinking, I'm going to build this nuke and just launch it for no goddamn reason at the United States. In his mind, it really is defensive. Do you really think, okay, this is a man-child dictator. Do you really think that in his heart of hearts, he believes that his little fucking peanut of a military is going to be able to stand up to the world's most powerful fighting force ever? Ever. There's no way he thinks that. There's no way. They're a gnat of a country. So it's not for offensive purposes. Now, again, that doesn't mean they're a good country. They're not. The guy is a terrible authoritarian leader. But it does mean there's no reason to fucking poke him with a stick. And then also, you got Trump going on Twitter every other fucking day, like, oh yeah, maybe we do regime change in North Korea. And then when this guy does missile tests, they're like, oh, an offensive, aggressive action. But why didn't you call it aggressive and offensive when Trump is threatening regime change on fucking Twitter? So for some reason, the U.S. never, no, we can never discuss what we do as offensive ever. So even when our lunatic president goes on Twitter, is like, what if I topple your regime? Everybody goes, oh, yep, sober, rational, reasonable. You can't work with those people. They're crazy. And what do you think they think about us? They look at us and they see how many countries have we fucking invaded? Have we been involved in militarily since World War II? Like almost every one. We have 7 wars going on right now. And they look at us and go, oh, the Americans, so sober and totally reasonable. All he's saying is you sit down and talk with them and try to de-escalate and not, go to war. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. And so we did more sanctions on them. By the way, sanctions in the case of North Korea. Now, sometimes sanctions work, but it depends on the regime and it depends on the individual circumstance. In this case, it will not work because they're such an authoritarian government that all you're doing is hurting the people of North Korea. It's not like the regime of North Korea itself, the government, is going to feel the pressure or feel the financial crackdown. They already have all the money and the power, and their people are already starving. What these sanctions do is it just makes the people starve more. So it's just not a rational course of action. And yes, you're poking them with a stick, and yes, you're escalating further, and you're making it so that the situation is less stable, not more stable. And all these clowns are like, oh yeah, you want to talk to people and try to figure stuff out and try to not go to war and starve more poor people? Yeah, unicorns, unicorn fairy dust. They're just so myopic, man. What do you want? What do you want? Do even more sanctions that won't work and will just starve the poor people who are there. Is that what you want? Do some sort of military action, because that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. You go topple a strongman government, and then what? Tomorrow they have a free democracy? No. Then you inherit this mess. They don't know how to govern themselves. It's been a hostage crisis for decades. So then what do? You want the U.S. to occupy it and waste our taxpayer money and our lives to try to rebuild a country? What are we talking about here? They're so stupid. Here's what you're not allowed to bring up on Fox News. You're not allowed to bring up U.S. history. Can't bring up U.S. history. Can't bring up facts. The scariest thought of all is that Donald Trump watches Fox News on a regular basis. So this is the diet he's getting 24/7. The diet he's getting is more sanctions, more military escalation, push us closer to war. And that's the common sense position. Because everybody on the panel is mocking the one guy who's like, let's not do that. We're so fucked. It looks like there's going to be some sort of disastrous military escalation with some country before Donald Trump leaves that makes everything we've done so far in the modern era look like peanuts.